Hey, educators, Bill Ferriter here. I had an interesting question the other day. A teacher asked me what I thought of AI detection tools. You know, those products where you can put a student's work through the tool and it'll tell you whether or not it was generated by AI? Well, my answer to that question is pretty darn interesting. I hate them. And the reason that I hate them is because the tools don't make it transparent to you what the percentage of false positives that they generate are. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the advertising of the tool, it'll say something like, we can detect the use of AI 92% of the time. And that may well be true, but what they don't mention to you, at least transparently, is what percentage of the time does it tell you that something was generated by AI when it really wasn't? That's what a false positive is. And if you dig into the research, what you'll discover is that most of those products can have a really high false positive rate. 50% of the time, it can tell you that a student was cheating when the student really wasn't. Now, in education, I don't think we can afford false positives. When you accuse a kid of cheating, or worse yet, when you give them a severe consequence for it, something like giving them a 0 in their average because you're convinced that they cheated, you've not only damaged the student's GPA or their average, but you've also damaged the relationship that you have with a kid. The minute that you accuse a child of cheating and it's not correct, that you're wrong about it, you've lost your relationship with that child forever. You've created arguments and conflict with parents. Now you've given yourself just a world worth of hurt. And all because you used an AI detector that didn't tell you that it also has false positives too, that it can identify something as AI generated when it's really not. So what's my suggestions to teachers who really do want to detect whether or not a kid is doing their own work? Well, I think the best AI detector is your relationship with the students in your classrooms. Why do we even need AI detectors? I taught for 29 years before AI detectors were even a thing, and I could pretty accurately tell you when I thought a student was cheating. Why? Because I knew the kid up close and personal, because I knew their work samples, because I knew what kind of products they could create. See, my argument is we don't need an AI detector. We need better relationships with our kids. And then we need to leverage those relationships when we do suspect that a child might be cheating in order to be able to say, hey, why didn't you give me your best work here? Why didn't you show me what you know? See, in the end, until we can figure out why kids are cheating, they're going to keep finding ways around whatever detector we decide to use. And so in the end, let's quit talking about detectors, which can generate lots of false positives, and let's start talking about how we can use relationships first to detect when a kid isn't doing their very best, and then second, to figure out why that might be happening. Hope that's worth thinking about.